is Kim Hardy and I work for Balbir Singh Dance Company as a company dancer and as the education officer. We have worked with Billingham Festival for many years, supporting their work on larger scale collaborative projects that take place at the festival each year. Balbir Singh Dance Company combine many different elements and influences into their work, such as classical Indian dance, Western contemporary, storytelling, music and even sport. Today we are going to look at some of the storytelling elements that are involved in classical Indian dance, and we're going to see how we can use just our hands to portray different characters. We hope you enjoy. So let's meet our artists. Today we will be joined by Pracheeti, Abby and Suraj, who have all worked for Balbir Singh Dance Company on multiple different projects. Some of these projects include 1001 Dreams, Scenes of Childhood and The Creative Spirit of John Curry, all of which premiered at Billingham International Folklore Festival. So we are going to focus on the storytelling elements of classical Indian dance, and we're going to focus on the hands. Stories are often told in Indian dance through movement, music and rhythm. These different hand gestures help to portray different characters and objects, which may help to tell the story to the audience. These hand gestures are called mudra. These different mudras can incorporate the entire body, however today we're just going to focus on the hands. So let's get started with Suraj. Suraj is going to show an animal with both hands, so it's a double-handed mudra. Can you guess which animal he is trying to portray? Suraj was portraying the Matsya, which is a fish. So let's try this fish mudra for ourselves. So you're going to place your left hand in front of you with your palm facing towards you and the back of your hand away from you, and your right hand on top. So either or, one hand on top of the other. You're then going to extend your thumbs outwards and slowly start to rotate those thumbs in small circular motions, like this. So it's nice and simple, so let's try that again. So one hand out, one hand on top, extend those thumbs and slowly start to rotate. And then when you feel comfortable, you can start to move your fish in front of you, take it low and take it high. So that is the Matsya. Well done. The peacock is represented often in classical Indian dance performances. So let's take a look at the peacock hand gesture. So if you take your first finger and your thumb and make a little clasp like this, so they're touching, and then extend your fingers upwards. And do the exact same on the other hand. Like this. So your first finger and your thumb are touching and then your fingers are extending upwards. And if you begin to shake your fingers like this can represent the movement in the feathers of the peacock tail. And you can move these fingers to represent the fan, or you can move them upwards and diagonally. You can move them in lots of different ways. It's quite a small hand gesture which allows for a lot of freedom of movement. So let's take a look at Abby combining some of these mudras in different ways, in different orders, and choreographing a little routine in water. have two flying animals, but can you guess which birds Suraj is trying to portray in this mudra? So those two birds were parakeets, two little birds called parakeets. So let's have a try at this mudra. So you're going to place your thumb in front of you and your other thumb in front of you, so both thumbs. You're going to take your next finger upwards, so you're pointing towards the sky, and the rest of your hand is in a fist. Then you're going to take your first finger, which is pointing upwards, and place it as a lid on top of your thumb. So try to make this section as flat as you can. So it's like the roof of a house over the top of your thumb, and you've got a little gap in between as well. You're then going to put your hands together so they touch, but so you can move your fingers. So you can start to move those parakeets' heads like this. So your fists are together and your fingers are moving inwards to each other like this. So a nice simple one, our parakeets. Let's try that one more time. Shake your hands. So you're going to place both thumbs, first finger, make a roof, fists together and move their heads. Good job. So one character which is often portrayed in classical Indian dance is a snake called Kalia, which has a battle with one of the gods called Krishna. So let's have a try at portraying this character. So it's a snake. So think how a snake would move. So we're going to just nice and simply have one hand, palm down towards the floor, and it's going to weave in front of us in a curved zigzag shape, as if it's going around some cones back and forth in front of us like this. And then we bring it back towards our body and we integrate our second hand. So we go towards each other and cross, away from each other, together, away, together, together, away. Let's try that one more time. So one hand goes back and forth. And then we integrate both hands together, like you're making a figure 8 shape. So it goes out and in, out and in. And then we draw both our hands back towards our body and we form our snake mudra, which is where our palms are like this, facing away, hands are touching, thumbs are tucked in, and we curve the top of our fingers as if we're peering over the top of a cliff. So just try to isolate the top of your fingers, so it's just the heads of your fingers that are bent downwards like this. And that is our snake, so that's our snake mudra, like that. So let's try from the top. So we do one hand, we do two hands, bring them back, form our mudra, and then we go and we attack. And you can do that however you want, so improvise with your snake mudra. Usually we bring it back and we launch forward as though we're attacking. Okay, so let's try that one more time. So one hand. You can really look at your hand as well to entice the audience to look at what you're looking at and bring the audience in. And then we do two hands. Bring them back, form our mudra, bring it back and attack. Perfect, so really have fun with this one. So it's nice and simple, but you can really help to tell a story as it is a character and you know what kind of character that snake is. So have a research clear and see what you can come up with. So let's see Abby in action performing this mudra in some water. back over to Suraj, who has another mudra for us to try. So that was the fan-tail pigeon. So a little bit trickier this time, so let's have a try. So we do actually know half of this mudra already, if you remember back to our parakeet mudra. So you're going to take your thumb, make your lid, like last time. So thumb, first finger over the top. That's the head of our pigeon. You're then going to take your other hand behind the first hand, so behind, and open your fingers to recreate the feathers of our pigeon. So take your hand, separate your fingers, rotate in a spiral kind of shape. Really isolate those fingers, make them really spread out to recreate those feathers on that tail. And then, as you can see on the video, Suraj is shaking this hand a little bit, which is a little bit tricky. So you're slowly going to try to shake this hand. Be nice and gentle, don't hurt your wrist, but see how much you can move those feathers. Then if you want, you can start to move the head on the pigeon as well. Good. Let's try that one more time from the top. So we make our roof, hand behind, feathers, and then you can move. Good job. So our next gesture represents the light and beauty emerging from darkness. It's a flower, so can you guess which flower this mudra is representing? So that was the lotus flower. So the beauty and light emerging from the darkness. So let's have a try at this one for ourselves. It's a little bit longer this time. So we're going to start with our hands in a diamond shape like this. So the tip of your fingers are together and the bottom of your hands are together and your thumbs are tucked behind. And you have a nice little gap in between. So you're going to start by slowly separating your fingers so that you have freedom of movement. And then whilst keeping the bottom of your hands together, you're going to rotate your wrists in 2 circles. So you're going to go round once, round twice, and return back to your diamond. Let's try that one more time. So separate your fingers so you can move. You go 1 circle, 2 circle. Now whilst you're doing that, just think about your fingers going around in a circle whilst keeping the bottom of your hands together. Let's try that one more time. So hands in the bud of our lotus. Separate. Go round and round back into this position. Perfect. Well done. You're then going to slowly start to separate your fingers once more as if the petals of your lotus are opening. Slowly, one by one, keeping your little fingers and your thumbs together and really extending those fingers out and stretching them as wide as you can to show that beautiful flower. Perfect, well done. Let's try that from the very top and join on. So we have our bud, open, rotate once, rotate twice back into the bud. Slowly and gracefully open those fingers, keeping your thumb and little fingers together. Extend as wide as you can, show that lotus. Beautiful, well done. So when you're doing these kind of movements, really try to think how that object or how that character would move. So obviously with a lotus it would be beautiful and graceful and delicate. So let's do that one more time together, having those adjectives in mind to see how our fingers move differently this time. So we have our little bud. And it starts to rotate and rotate back into our bud. beautiful petals opening towards the sun and extending outwards. Good. So let's jump back over to Suraj to see which mudra is next. So that mudra was, of course, the bird. So a nice simple one for us to try this time. So you're going to place one hand in front of you and cross the other hand in front of that. So you're making an X shape with the palm of your hands facing towards you, the back of your hands facing away from you. And you're going to connect your thumbs and link them like this, so they're locked like this. And your fingers do not have any gaps in between them. They're nice and tight and secure. It's quite a strong position. And then we transform it into a bird. So we need to act, as we slowly start to move the hands, we add that gentleness to the hands. That's it. So although they're nice and secure and strong, they move freely and delicately. That's it. So we slowly start to move our fingers as if they're moving through treacle. So they move all as one, just like the feathers on the bird would. That's it. And when you get more confident, you can start to see how you can add more movement to that mudra. So you can take the hands high and you can take them low. So one more time, we make our X shape, lock our thumbs together and move our fingers. And that is the bird mudra. There are 9 major classical Indian dance styles, and Prachiti is now going to explain a little bit more about one dance style in particular called Odissi. She will discuss the costume and some of the storytelling techniques. Enjoy!
Odissi is the oldest surviving dance style of India, dating back to 2nd century. It originated in the temples as a way of worship and is often referred to as sculpture in motion. There are 2 basic stances in Odissi. The first is the chow or the square posture, taken from the image of the presiding deity of Odissi, Lord Jagannath. The second is Tribhangi, or the posture with 3 bends. Often seen depicted in temple sculptures. Along with this, the unique feature of Odissi is the torso movement, where the dancer slides the ribcage from side to side. The highlight of the Odissi get-up is the headgear that a dancer adorns. It is unique to Odissi and is made up of sola wood, making it very light and delicate. The buds on the side represent the sun rays, while the centerpiece represents the Jagannath Puri temple tower. Another distinguishing feature of the Odissi get-up is the silver jewellery that a dancer adorns. The most prominent piece of jewellery being the waist belt or the kamarpatta. The costume worn in Odissi is traditionally made up of Orissa silk saris. It could either be draped or stitched. The one I'm wearing today is a stitched costume. Storytelling is an important part of Odissi. We express stories using various hand gestures and facial expressions. have chosen a very interesting one. How Lord Ganesh got his elephant head. Some of you may recognize Ganesha as the elephant-headed god from Hindu mythology. So the story goes, long time ago, Lord Shiva and goddess Parvati resided upon Mount Kailash, and Shiva was called away. The lonely Parvati sculpted a boy from the earth and gave him life. Parvati asked the boy to guard the door and not allow anyone to come through, as she was going to bathe herself. As Ganesha stood guarding the door, Shiva returned and wanted to enter the house. However, Ganesha, obeying his mother's orders, refused. This angered Shiva, and he struck Ganesha with his trident, chopping his head off. Upon hearing the commotion, Parvati rushed out to see Ganesha beheaded. She was shocked and asked Shiva to undo it immediately. Shiva, upon realizing his mistake, then brought the head of the first being he saw, an elephant, and placed it on Ganesha's body, bringing him back to life. Thus is the story of how Lord Ganesh got his elephant head. Unlike reading or narrating, storytelling in dance is different, as the dancer expresses a story or idea using body movements on music. For example, playing catch with friends, or splashing water. You have to use your imagination to feel and enact the story. Since Odissi is an Indian classical style, many a times people feel that it can be used to express stories from the Indian literature only. However, that's not the case. It can be used to express any story. We will now be looking at a very modern, contemporary and non-Indian story expressed in Odissi. I am sure all of you know the story of Harry Potter. So let us begin. James and Lily got married and had a baby, whom they named Harry. They loved and adored him a lot. It was his destiny to be on the top. But when Lord Voldemort heard this, he became very angry. He said, "I am the most powerful wizard here. I will find that baby and kill him." And so he set out to search for Harry. And when he found him, he struck him with a spell, but it backfired and burned him instead. 10 years later, Harry Dumbledore came to meet him and said, "Come with me, my child. Come with me to Hogwarts," where Harry got new books to read and learned magic spells and even got a wand of his own and met his friends. Everything was going great until his car started hurting because Lord Voldemort was back, and this time he was determined to kill Harry. And so started the final battle where Harry killed Lord Voldemort and emerged victorious.
So that wraps your storytelling and Indian dance workshop. We thoroughly hope you enjoyed learning some new interesting facts about Indian dance and hand gestures, or mudras as we now know them. We hope you enjoy the other workshops that will feature in the festival during this week, and we can't wait to get involved ourselves and learn some new skills. So thank you so much on behalf of everyone at Balbir Singh Dance Company, and we will see you really soon.